Well, that was quick. Not, what, 3 days or something? I don't know when I'm recording and when I'm uploading this. Not 3 days after I finished and completed and wrapped up Succession, we're already here with Industry Season 1 review. God, I'm just so fast. I'm just so impressive. I'm just so cool. But I suppose we have to move on from that talking point into talking about this lovely little show I've started. Is it lovely? Is it little? It was only 8 episodes, I'll tell you that much. And I think I scrolled through all the seasons. I saw some thumbnails as I went too. I think it's only 8 episodes every season. So we love that. We love a short show. Well, a short, long show. A show with short seasons that's also long. You understand what I mean. Now, I think the way I'll do this, which could either be really annoying or really not annoying, is I think we'll talk about Succession a lot at the beginning. Now, I'm not going to do a timestamp because I'm lazy. But if you don't care, I guess you can skip forward a little bit. But obviously, if you're not familiar with the lore, I saw a video or a trailer for Industry Season 4 or something. Or maybe I just saw it as I was scrolling through shit on HBO Max. I was like, oh, this show seems cool. It's like about a bank or something, and it's like about people hooking up and stuff. This is terrific. We love all these things. But then I saw that it got compared to Succession a lot. And I was like, well, I kind of want to watch Succession. And I should probably do it in the proper order, which would be Succession coming first, then delving into Industry. So I went and did that. And my goodness, what a detour we took into the wonderful lands of Succession. What a show. We love the great show Succession. I'm just like Shiv for real, making funny noises. So yeah, and now we've done that, and here we are. We can finally start the show we originally wanted to start. So that's a little crazy. It's worth pointing out at the very beginning that these shows are absolutely nothing alike, and I don't know why they get compared at all, besides the fact that they're kind of modern and kind of business related. Maybe the comparisons become like more blatant as we progress, but like everything is different. And even that, like in Succession, they're barely ever in the office. So even that's a little iffy of like, oh, they're both office shows, I guess. The style of writing is like completely different, and how people talk is completely different. And I think probably the biggest shift is that this is like purely like a soapy drama, and Succession is like a satire show. This show's not a comedy. Like there's some funny little banter interactions and stuff like that, but it's not like a funny show with like this ultra thematic moral point that Succession very much has. It doesn't like indulge in super duper cringe like Succession does. They're just very different. Industry, I would say, is much more traditionally dramatic compared to Succession, which is very weird and kind of artsy in its presentation, I guess. The mockumentary styles, the different sorts of performances, how dialogue flows, the meaning behind the dialogue, the frantic nature of the sides and the scheming and stuff. I guess you could say this show has some scheming, but even then it's like it's not very minimal, but it's like nothing compared to like something like Succession, which is the most schemy show of all time. So yeah, they are very different. Also, the moralizing is very different. Like, I didn't really get like, they work at a bank. Well, actually, this is like a point I have. I don't really understand what they do. Like, they work at a bank. I understand that. And actually, I did go through the wiki page and read some things to clarify and write down character names so I remembered them all the important ones at least. So I got a little bit more information there. Like, FX means foreign exchange, which I didn't know. I don't know what each individual desk does or whatever. It doesn't seem that relevant. This is also like a fun thing. This always happens. This happened in Succession. This happened in Mad Men when I watched it. And even to a lesser extent, it happened in The Sopranos, where it's like, especially on a first time through, you don't really understand everybody's roles. And it's very fun to like go back and watch and realize that like, Silvio is actually really important from the start rather in The Sopranos. And it's like, you probably figure that out by like season 3. You realize, oh, he's like number 2. Oh, I guess that makes sense. It's like with Carl in Succession. Like, I didn't realize he was CFO until season 4, I think, until somebody verbally called him that. Now, he was probably always referencing money stuff, so you should probably have been able to infer that if you're, like, familiar with, like, the language or what a role like this would look like. But as somebody who is completely not, I only realized that at the end. And now I'm sure if I go back, and I'm sure if I watched a reaction and they didn't understand what Carl did from the beginning, I would be mad or something. I sort of understand who everybody's bosses are and everything like that, because that's sort of made clear. But like, I didn't realize that Sarah, I think is her name, is like the boss. Like, she does like, I thought she was like the figurehead or something because she would always do the speeches, but it makes sense that she's actually the boss. But she's only the boss of this London outfit because there are many offices or something. Like, there's one in New York, I guess. And a guy that was even higher than her did come in these final episodes, and he's like something of FICC. And they even give Kenny, the character, a line where he like explains what that is, and I didn't listen to it, so. But whatever. People are important, you understand. People are bosses, you understand. Our main characters are all graduates trying to get a job. We understand. But all that stuff is funny. Like, I think do I even understand how banks work? Like, I understand that banks aren't literally just like vaults you put your money in that you get from your paycheck. Like, banks make money by like speculating on something, and I guess they buy stocks and stuff. That seems to be what they're doing in this. And they also, I assume their clients are all like rich people that decide to use their bank over a different one. So they have to service them individually because they have so much wealth. And I'm sure there's a department that handles like general wealth or something, which is like normal people putting their money in, whatever. Or maybe this is just a rich person bank where they don't have normal people. I don't know how fucking banks work. Banks do like mortgages or something, I think. Whoa, that's crazy. But yeah, so I don't entirely understand it, but and there's also funny like crossover terms, like they use account to like refer to like a client's account, which is obviously something they do in Mad Men. It's also interesting that in Mad Men it's like split between accounts and creative, where it's like accounts are the people that deal with the clients, creatives are the people that actually do the job. And it's like in this, it seems like everybody's both, which is interesting. They also talk about shape and certain things like that. There are other buzzwords that are from Succession where I'm like, oh, I know that. Kendall will ask what the shape looks like and what the earnings are like or whatever the fuck. It's like, oh, they're doing that in this show, so that's kind of funny. It's also interesting, like Harper, who's our main girl, seems to she's like a smart girl that understands like the trading aspect, but what's his name? Robert, our main kind of guy. I guess he's kind of the main guy. He's probably definitely the main guy. He's like an accounts guy. He like has relationships with clients and doesn't seem to know anything about money or whatever. It's like, oh, we've got these splits and these differences and stuff like that. I'm sure these will be developed in coming seasons. True, I don't know the differences between the desks. These are all true. And then we're talking about how things were all similar in other shows where I don't know if I understood that creative and accounts were different things in Mad Men until like season 4. No, I definitely knew by then. But anyway, I don't know anything about banking, and the show is not really like Succession. That's what we've talked about so far. We haven't actually given any overall opinions yet, so let's dive into that. My great note here that says enjoyment of the show. I watched these episodes so quickly. I think I might have watched 5 episodes today or something crazy. And the only reason I rushed in here to record this now is because I do just want to keep watching more. Also, all these episodes like 50 minutes long, which coming off Succession is like a breath of fresh air when they're all like very long in that. Now, I'm sure they'll probably pick up as we progress. I didn't check out the future seasons in that much detail. Also, a big thing I know about this show is that Kit Harington is in it, and he's not in season 1, so that's interesting. And also, I know Sally from Mad Men, Kieran, I don't know, she's got a funny name, right? It starts with an S. Schrupper or something? I know she's in season 4. And I know season 4 is currently airing. Like, I think episode 7 is coming out soon. I probably won't be caught up if it's got 8. Well, I don't know. I mean, gone through this shit kind of quick. And it's only, 16 plus 6? There's only 22 episodes left. There's a theoretical possibility I could catch up before the show wraps up season 4. I don't know if season 4 is the final season. I really don't know anything. That is true. I don't really know anything. There are no reaction videos for this series. I did look that up. Because I was curious, even though I did swear not to do that after I talked about how it ruined some aspects of Succession for me. I probably would have if there had been one. It's not popular enough of a show in that genre, I guess, which is interesting. And the sort of, I don't know, there's darling shows for reactions. Like it took forever for any of them to react to The Sopranos, which I always thought was a big missed opportunity, but now they've all done it or are doing it. So. And Mad Men slowly being ushered into and things like that. Will we get the Boardwalk Empire reactions one day? My goodness. Will we get Industry? My goodness. But yes. Quick, I talked about reactions for some reason. It is a lot easier to watch than Succession, mostly because Succession, sometimes you just got to pause and start smashing the desk because Greg is saying something so cringe, and you know the scene is going to go on for 2 minutes just to punish you, and because it's funny. But oh, it's terrible, and you're just trying to get through it, and you're like, oh, let me check my email or something to buy me some time. And then my cope whenever massive cringe is going on, like massive intentional cringe, is like, it's just actors, it's just actors, it's just actors, it's just actors. It gets me through it. So the show really doesn't have any of that. So it's really easy to watch, and it's shorter and all that stuff. I ate this shit up, I have written down. And I like all the elements a lot, but calling it a 10 or something seems a little extreme, is what I have written down here. Because I'm doing all these comparisons to Succession. And I think I've come down on, like, it is a more enjoyable viewing experience than Succession. I really do like the show. I guess I haven't explicitly said that. It's also tenured to a lot of my sensibilities for things I like in shows. Like, I do like office dramas. I do think they're really fascinating. I do like love triangles and romance subplots and the sexualization therein. I like all that stuff. So this show has that in spades. And it also has, like, cool, powerful people saying cool, powerful things to try and convince each other, like Mad Men-esque, or any of the prestige dramas are like that. Like, there's a meeting and we've got to figure out a problem and somebody's going to say something cool to convince people. Black Sails has that all over. All of my favorite shows have that stuff. So it has all of these stuff, and those are really like the three core elements of it. And I guess it's vaguely interesting to get an insight into what a bank might be like. Who knows how accurate any of this is. Actually, when I looked up industry reactions, it was all just like, former bank guy reacts to see if it's legitimate how she's doing these sales or something. Or something boring like that I don't care about. But true. So it's no lower than a 9. I'm just not confident in calling it a 10. I guess there's been great payoffs and stuff. It definitely, I want to compare it to You a little bit, where it's like, You will have great in-universe, in-show payoffs, but it doesn't like transcend to a thing where I'm like, oh, I like got to talk about this. Like, this is terrific. Like, this is like knocking me snocks off over here. Though it definitely had powerful moments like that. I don't know. It just doesn't have any like, whoa, this is like one of the best moments I've ever seen in TV moments yet. And I think if it had one or two of those, it probably would be a 10. Like, all the things we've been setting up and teasing are interesting, and the payoffs to them are cool too. But I don't know. It is maybe a special something missing. Though I couldn't be enjoying the show more. Like, I love every second of watching it. That's why I want to go back to it more. But maybe it's like a comfort food in that sense, where it's like, maybe there's not so much substance to this. Maybe it's my junk food or something. Though I definitely don't think so. I think the quickness of the writing and the developing of all these things is pretty great. So I don't want to be seen to be talking down this show that I like a lot. I guess in contrast, like, Succession is something I've also been going back and forth on, or is it a 9? Is it a 10? Succession absolutely has like standout aspect that like you could like sell to a person. Like, I feel like most people would dismiss this show as like a horny young people having sex show. Like, it's just sexy nonsense for ladies or something. Whereas I think selling Succession to a different, like a more regal crowd or something, I think I am just being misogynist here. But like, I feel like, let's use Elite RE, our arbiter for misogyny. Like, I feel like I could sell Succession to Elite RE if I really tried and like came up with examples and showed him the right scenes or something. I don't think I could ever get Elite RE to watch this show because it's just like, it doesn't have those aspects of like, of prestige. Maybe that's the case. It does feel like, I guess also like in a big picture wise, like Succession feels more conceptual. Succession had like its pinpoint principles that it would never back down from, the kids being fuck ups, Kendall always losing, restraint. You've heard me talk about this for 4 videos now. The way it has its characters speak, the way it writes its dialogue, the way it's shot, like, these are all very unique Succession things. Whereas I guess industry doesn't stand out from a formal perspective like that. Though I'm assuming we could step this stuff up in future seasons because the show has become decently popular enough to get 4 seasons at least. So I'm sure it came with greater expectations, greater budgets perhaps. Also, just on a behind-the-scenes thing, I did notice that Lena Dunham directed the first episode of this, which was an interesting thing. I saw her in the credits and was like, is this like a different Lena Dunham? But maybe not. Actually, in fact, not, because I clicked on the Wikipedia page and searched it. Now, I know Lena Dunham is like a very controversial figure or something. I remember people making fun of her in like 2014 for being a yucky feminist or something. I have like no engagement with any of this. So I have no idea. I have no opinion. Was the directing in episode 1 good? Probably, I think. I don't remember it. But the show was good. I will say that. It definitely had a better first episode than Succession. Succession's first episode is still a little boring. But, you know, it got there in the end. Old Succession, huh? Kind of sounded like Tom there for a second. That was kind of a Tom inflection. I guess Succession definitely has characters that pop a little more than this show. Okay, can we stop talking about Succession, perhaps? This show is great. We like it. I do like all of the characters, even though saying, which is something I wouldn't say about Succession. I guess we didn't talk about the morality thing, where because this was originally what I was going into when I was bringing up like the occupation and them working in a bank. Succession definitely like portrays its characters as evil because like people who run Fox News are evil, and that's what the show is about. I don't think this show has like a great condemnation for banking as a mechanism in capitalism. Monopoly in capitalism was nearly what I said. I don't think it's judging them for being bank people too much, which is kind of refreshing after the fact. Like, I don't need this again. Is Don Draper a bad guy because he sells cigarettes? Who cares? But yeah. Where do we go here next? Should we go into characters? Oh, I guess another thing that's like immediately evident in this show, and it made me forget because Succession is a HBO show, right? And it wasn't in here until like we're 20 minutes into the first episode, and we see the main girl naked, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is like a HBO show. This is what HBO does. All of their lead actresses get naked in all their shows. I was like, and only in retrospect I realized Succession had no nudity in it, which is kind of crazy because you think it might. Damn it, we never got to see Sarah Snook naked. What are we doing here, everybody? But it is true. I don't think there's even like a scene in Succession where they're at like a strip club and everybody's naked. So it was definitely a change when in the first episode of this. You see, and multiple times throughout the season, you see the main girl naked, both main girls naked. The main guy got naked too. I think there was another naked guy. I think, oh my God, what's her name? Yasmin's boyfriend Seb, I think he was naked too. So we have some nudity here. Terrific. But yeah, that was a funny thing where it was like, oh yeah, nakedness. People get naked in HBO shows. I forgot about that. It definitely does give it a different vibe because the show is very, very focused on trying to be sexy like that, and it succeeds from what I can tell, at least. Lots and lots of cunnilingus shots and scenes. And other things like that, so it's pretty great. We love it. But yeah, we can go into characters now. Because I have a thing about the pilot and about Harry, or whatever his name is. The guy that died in the first episode that was really likable, and I liked him, and then he fucking died. That was kind of sad. I have a note about that and how that was kind of shocking. And I also liked him and Gus's boss from those first 2 episodes, and she hasn't come back since. I like that character. She was like a sassy lady. Maybe she'll come back in the future. I don't know. But true, I couldn't believe somebody fucking died in the first episode. That was crazy. Especially a character that definitely had potential and was very likable and was positioned to be one of our main few. It was like kind of shocking, kind of interesting. He is on our poster here. Pretty cool. True nudity. Now I just have some characters listed out, and we can talk about sort of individual character moments and character relationships and all this sort of stuff. Because other than that, my notes are episode 1 was directed by Lena Dunham. There's ladies assaulting people in this show. True, that's in the first episode. And then I have a specific scene example. I guess I'll save that for afterwards. So we have Harper, who is, I'm pretty sure, our lead. She's definitely on screen the most, I think. But there's kind of 3 main leads, so I guess 4 if you count Gus, though he seems to be a smaller player. Which is, now I'm going to learn these, Alright, sorry, bear with me a little bit. This is Harper, Yasmin, and Robert. they call him Robert? I guess they probably call him Rob. Don't you sometimes call Robert people Bob? I don't think they call him that though. Now they are in a love triangle, so everybody let's freak the freaking hell out. Which is interesting because they do position it in the first episode. Like, no, the first shot they try to position the main girl, which is Harper, and Robert, because they like walk together and they're both poor, so they like seem to they will like walk with each other in one of the first shots, and then our third girl comes in. But then for whatever reason, now we did misogyny earlier, so this might just be racism. But I totally like flipped and was like, well, obviously the main ship here is Yasmin and Robert, which is definitely a thing throughout the season. Though it is in other ways, and there is an attempted threesome scene between the three of them in like the second last episode or whatever. So these things all do develop. But that was interesting because the position, like I was immediately positioned to think. I don't even know if necessarily root for is the right word. For those two to be in the main ship and leaving poor Harper out of it. But those are sort of the main relationships. There's the three of them individually and with each other. Then there's Harper and her boss, whose name is Eric. That's probably the best relationship in the show so far. They're also both come from like poorer backgrounds. And Eric is like, it's almost Don and Peggy, but a little bit more explicitly abusive, verbally, or intimidatingly, because he locks her in a thing at one point. It's like the biggest plot point in the whole season. But their dynamics, whenever they have scenes, like the advice scenes, the protege scenes, the endearing platonic love. Remember when I was going to make that video? Jesus Christ, I haven't said that phrase in like 3 years. That's all good. We like that stuff. And there's other characters, like there's Yasmin and Kenny, who have a little thingy going on, but not in that sense. They're like fighting and they work next to each other, and he's her line manager. And that like that. Gus has the boyfriend guy, don't forget, and also Robert has Clement, which is like his father figure who gets fired at the end. So they all have these individual dynamics. It is really cool. I think Harper is probably my favorite character, and I do think her individual relationships with everybody is probably the most interesting. I do also think she's just the most interesting character. I think it's just demeanor. Like, I think I do like Yasmin less just because she kind of has white girl demeanor, and that's kind of annoying. Like, I immediately clocked it. One of the first scenes we get with her and her boyfriend is her, like, trying to impress him with, like, a sexy outfit. And it was, like, white girl trying hard to be sexy, and it's kind of corny. Like, it was like, oh, we don't like this girl. Now, she's pretty cool, right? She's fine. I don't know if she's pretty cool, but she's, like, a good character and everything. But I'm just sort of more drawn to Harper in every situation, even with Yasmin, I think. Like, her relationship with Robert is extra interesting because it kind of feels like they're the ship we shouldn't be rooting for, but when they're together, it's like, oh, there's a lot of chemistry here, guys. Everybody blow the fans. Blowing fans, never mind. So that's, and then even her relationship with Yasmin, I think, is probably Yasmin's strongest relationship. Though they seem to be, and this will be interesting because obviously this is a long-running show. We love long-running shows. It'll be interesting because they're very much friends. They're even roommates in this first season. They seem to have a pretty bad breakup at the end of this first season. So it will be interesting to see if, like, they're forever enemies and, like, it's like, oh, remember in season 1 when they were kind of friends, and maybe at the end of the final season, whether that be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or whatever, they have to come back together and be on the same team. It is interesting also because Gus does, like, kind of get fired at the end. He doesn't get hired, basically, because they're all on 6-month interims to see if they will get the actual job. You would assume that maybe he wasn't going to be in the show from now on, but I did see he was in the thumbnail for, like, the 3rd episode of the next season. Unless that's a different black guy, because he does have a different haircut, where he's, like, blonde, but I'm pretty sure it was him. And also, at one point, I think I checked season 2 when Eric was supposed to be fired, and I was, like, sad. I was like, oh, that's my favorite relationship, and now he's gone. But he was, like, in the thumbnails for, like, all of the season 2 episodes. So he was definitely coming back. And poor Daria at the end. We fucked her over and got her out. So there's a few interesting things with all of the shit I just said. Where it's, like, there is kind of an ethics thing going on with, like, there's sort of a side pushing to, like, make the firm more, like, diversity friendly. And, like, Harper kind of goes against that when Yasmin kind of needs that, and that's another thing that adds to like their turmoil at the end. They also maybe like the same boy. I'm still not sure if like Harper is really that into Robert or if she just wants to sleep with him. And also like Yasmin was trying to get under Daria to get off her job, and then Harper got Daria fired. So she like fucked her over in that regard. So they're definitely not going to be living together. But also they're all actually hired now, so Harper can afford her own stuff. Because did she know she was lying about her past? She didn't even graduate university or something because her ex-boyfriend left her or something. That felt a little Don Draper, huh? She's lying about her past, a big secret that could come out at any time if like Eric used it against her, or if he got fired or something and somebody else looked into it. Probably wouldn't matter now, right? She's like hired properly. We'll see. Maybe it's a future plot point. What do you think Kit Harington's job's going to be? We'll have to find out, huh? Do you think we're going to get more Kit Harington sex scenes? All these questions. Can we see? I didn't see him in any of the thumbnails for season 2, so he might be a season 3 guy. Who knows? What else? I think I need to be reminded of certain scenes and stuff. I probably should have done a better job knotting stuff down. The one scene I have written down here is like a flirty conversation that Robert and Harper have, where it's like she was kissing on his neck the night before, but then he said no because he wanted to see what was happening with Yasmin or whatever. She's like teasing him in these various very sexual situations throughout the show, and like working out in front of him and stuff like that. All that teasing stuff is really fun, especially when it's like it keeps not happening. It does get you engaged of like, oh my god, can these guys just make out finally? Which does end up happening, but I think the first time they do it is in like the attempted threesome scene, so it's like kind of undercut by that and pivoted into different drama, so that's kind of interesting. But you do feel the same way with Harper and Robert when that happens. But before that, when it doesn't happen the first time, they have a scene where he like there's like a generic scene where like a character doesn't want to address what recently happened, and then the other character comes along and says, and they have a little argument about something that's separate, and the cool guy at the end cuts him off and says, if you want to talk about what happened last night, talk about it, but don't bullshit around or whatever. And they did that scene, but they kind of did it with a twist where you kind of feel like he's reaching for that, like he saw a movie where this worked, but it like doesn't actually hit because Harper is actually talking to him about something else where her job is actually on the line. I think it's on the line like 3 times because she fucks up 3 different times. I can't remember which time it is. I think it's when she was supposed to sell, but she didn't sell, and then she lost like $100,000 or something. Anyway, she wasn't actually concerned about like them not hooking up last night or whatever. So it was like a great like play on that scene, I thought, which was really cool. What other scenes can I remember? I remember when Robert and Yasmin got red paint thrown at him as a protest or whatever. That was pretty funny. And then they had to like kind of shower together. Isn't that crazy? Ooh, what are they going to get up to there? I guess the other things is the Nicole character, who is the character that is like sexually harassing Harper, it's a girl on girl sexual harassment. So what a progressive show! Oh my goodness, into uncharted territory here. I don't know. Their relationship was interesting because she still seemed to be like a role model figure a little bit, and was like giving advice and stuff like that. It's always interesting when a show tries to position a like older woman in power who has power and what her opinion would be like or her advice would be like to another woman or something. And this show is very like pivoted against giving generic types of straightforward feminist like talking points, I guess. I don't know if talking points is the right word, but like philosophies isn't the right word either, but like advice. Like I think Daria at some point is like, if you get like a male secretary or whatever, you should like talk to him for like 1 minute before, because you'll probably get preferential treatment, because like boys will melt if you talk to him for a little while, especially if it's not about work or whatever. And that's like advice Harper takes on. That's like interesting. That's kind of like anti-feminist. Like you are using your flirtation, or not even that, but just like the power you have as a woman over a man who like wants you or something, or just wants your attention generally, and how you can like use that to get what you want. And it's not just like be a man and don't act like a lady and don't be sexual or whatever. It's like the Bobby speech in Mad Men, you know. Don't be a man. Don't even try. You never can. But be a woman. I'm not going to say the next line. I can't deliver it without it being corny. Anyway, those who know, know. On God. Where else can we pivot with this? Why is Leary sending me a DM? What is he sending me? He's sending me Blind Wave's Pluribus reaction. Like I give a fuck. Anyway, he's never going to see this. We could shit talk Leary all we wanted. There's a bunch of other things like Yasmin's relationship with her boyfriend is interesting. It's also interesting with modern shows how what they choose to comment on and like how boring they can be. Like there's lots of references to Trump like fucking things up and Brexit fucking things up, but it's like done with like casual, like centrist not care, like just caring because it affects them, like not moralizing or whatever. And sometimes like Harper would make some notes about somebody being really white or something and something they were doing. But it wasn't quite as like, I don't even want to use the word extreme, but it's not quite to the degree of like what Zendaya does in like challenges or whatever. So it's interesting where we toe the line there. There's also like light, and I really like the portrayal of like the guys harassing the girls in this, where it's not like fraternity whatever, but there is like underlining, and it's not even sexually. It's usually like them yelling at the girls or something. This is mostly done with the Kenny and Yasmin relationship. Oh, the thing I was gonna say is they comment on like the young male porn addiction kind of stuff with Yasmin's boyfriend, who like seems to only be able to like jerk off to porn and never has sex with her or whatever, even when she tries really hard, and she's a very attractive girl. Also, she's like Arab or something, and she also speaks French. I learned these from the subtitles. Very multicultural cast, not just in the main cast, but then you've got like Scots and British people, and like at one point it's like a reveal that one of the guys is Scottish, and you're supposed to infer that he's like poor or something from that. And I was like, I'm missing all this fucking Britain bullshit or whatever, because Britain is like England and Scotland, but the UK is like including Ireland, and then England is just England or something. Nobody gives a fuck about these losers, but there you go. Let me tell you something. There's Australia, and then there's New Zealand. And that's just shittier Australia. And then there's the rest of the world. We don't care about them. Okay? And then over there's America. God bless the USA. Now, they've got a New Zealand too. It's called Canada. Anyway. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, he's like porn addicted. He's like paying for a specific like cam girl at one point, which is funny. And he's got like a plant that she like dumps on the ground after she finds out. Because they both look like soft cheating on each other, and it's whatever. And then I also liked his portrayal. His portrayal was interesting, where it's like he's not just a shitty boyfriend. Like he's kind of a shitty boyfriend, but he's kind of like not too bad. And it's like it's a very interesting like nuanced portrayal of that like thing. I guess there is a lot of nuanced portrayals and things of like Eric kind of being the overly possessive like boss or whatever, and then Kenny's like the talking down to the ladies like fiery masculine dude or whatever, who's actually not really masculine. But the way all this is portrayed, like Kenny has multiple scenes where he's like being overly nice, and that's like almost as off-putting as when he's mean. And it's like I feel like that's more of an honest representation of what a person like that would be, where they like try to overcorrect by their behavior by being overly nice, but he never actually treats Yasmin as a girl, as like a normal person. That's kind of like the actual problem. She's also pressured into her boss not to say things about him, which is also a thing, and that also like coincides with or reverse coincides. Runs parallel but in opposite directions, so I think that's the opposite of parallel to what Harper does and how she gets rid of Daria in favor of Eric and stuff like that. But yes, that stuff's all cool. Gus has a boyfriend who had a girlfriend but doesn't have a girlfriend anymore, so we'll see what happens there. Poor Hari, he's fucking dead. He was getting along with Harper. They were in love. My goodness. It did seem like that way. Like we were setting up ships for the two of them. Like it was, I get confused whenever I look at the names. Robert and Yasmin were going to get together, and maybe Harry and Harper were going to get together. H and H, oh my goodness. Kind of leads you off the scent and makes you put the other two together and then rips it away from Harper. That's upsetting. She deserves love too. she hooks up with a guy that kind of looks like the Yasmin's boyfriend, which was interesting. I actually liked that guy. I thought it was a cool little bit part. I think that happened a few times with like. It's always interesting because it's always easy, especially when you're a guy, when they like have scenes. I feel like Joe Goldberg has these scenes in You all the time where it'll be like he goes on like there's like a montage of him going on dates with different women and how they like characterize the women to be different and to be different types of women. It's always interesting when that's like reflected and it's like a girl who's going on like dates with guys. And it's usually like again this is kind of nuanced because that guy was like cool, but he wasn't too cool. Like he hadn't showered or something, but that wasn't like a big deal. And it's like, oh, a show could be like, oh, a smelly boy thinks he can be with our main character girl. That's not going to happen. Or it's like he would be overly annoying or something, or he'd be overly gross, or he'd be overly like forward or something. But no, it seemed like he was an okay, like cool guy. And I don't know, I like that portrayal. I wish Harper went on a date with a different boy every episode, so we get some weird little characterizing things. But yeah. She kept commenting about how she hadn't seen any British guys naked yet or whatever. That like builds it up for a payoff, so you're like happy when it happens and everything like that. And her ex-boyfriend comes to town for a little while, who helped her fake her application form or whatever, or her what do you call that last thing you do, thesis or something in college? I don't fucking know. I didn't do this fucking college shit. So that was interesting. He like stole something. She kicked him out. Oh, she has like a backstory with a brother that I really don't care about. That seems like weird, and it's like supposed to explain her behavior or something. That oddly felt very TV and very unnuanced. Though we never know what's gonna happen with that. Maybe Kit Harington was her brother. My goodness, what a twist that would be. Though they said it was a twin, so probably not. I gotta take a drink here, damn it. I guess he'll probably become, or we'll get a flashback or something. But he abandoned her, so now she's like scared to be abandoned or something. And she's like a jealous person too. That's why she didn't want to do the threesome and stuff like that. I was speaking on something else. I can't remember, but interpersonal. Oh, it's also interesting that Harper like hates Gus because Harry said like one thing she kind of took out of context or took too seriously, and he like comforts her at the when she's having like a panic attack at the end. She started having a Roman Roy panic attack up there. It was kind of crazy. It was also interesting when Gus like quits. He's like offered like this thing by like the boss of like we can do this thing, and he like tells her to fuck off, and then like does the joke thing they have bets on. There is a guy, and I can just tell. There's a guy that like actions trades or something. He's like a very pretty looking Middle Eastern or Indian guy. I think his name is Rishi or something. This guy absolutely is going to be like a reoccurring side main character and then going forward in the show. I just can tell like the fans definitely liked him because every time he showed up he said something cool and was being clever or something, and I'm like, this is a character that's coming back. There's also a Greg who was like kind of Harper's love interest, and you were kind of pulling for them a little bit, but then she starts to like take care of him and stuff like that. So he's a character too. He was pretty cool or funny and interesting in some points. There was also Clement, who I guess we haven't talked about, who is like Robert's father figure. He's like addicted to heroin or something. He's probably going to go on a downward slope now that he got fired because his one client retired or something. It was interesting because they made multiple comments that like a lot of these guys just have like one client, and then it's kind of like, what are they doing all day then? But it seems like they're very busy, so I don't know. But it's kind of like Roger had that with Lucky Strike for a little while in Mad Men. He had like one account. So, you know, there's precedent there for me to believe it from other shows like this. But yeah. I don't know if that guy's going to come back and be a guy Robert has to look after in the future in like season 2 when he kills himself with heroin or something. We'll have to see. There's also not a lot of like forward-thinking things to predict with this show, because like with Succession, you can predict, is anybody going to win in the end? If somebody's going to win, who's going to win? And like, where are all the characters going to end up? I guess the big thing to predict is like which ship makes it out alive. And I'm probably going to assume, due to this show's like kind of cynical nature around like relationships, I'm probably going to assume none of them. Remember that nobody remembers this because nobody also watched this movie, but there was I think it was called Broadcast News, that movie I watched, where it was kind of a love triangle and they all ended up marrying different people in like a flash forward. That movie was really good. I could definitely see something like that happening at the end of the show or something. Though I think we will test drive all the couples. It will be interesting immediately what we do. Because a lot of focus was on Yasmin and Robert. I feel like in the short term we might pivot in the other direction though. But we'll have to see. I'm sure there'll be new boys and girls for the next season or whatever, probably one of each, and my goodness. What sexual escapades will everybody get up to? Who knows? But true. I don't know if there's much else to predict. Like, how is Gus going to come back into the show? Is he going to be like a rival guy? Is he going to become a client or something? Is he just going to be in like one episode? And I'm reading way too into him being into that one thumbnail too much. I don't know what the general conflict's going to be. The whole season like built up to them finding out if they were going to get hired or fired. What did they call it? Riff? And then there was that like was stood for something really basic, or it was like, oh, reduction in force. True. And it's interesting. Out of our main 5, 1 died, 1 didn't make it, and the other 3 did. It was interesting when they showed them going through the meeting where it was like, they thought Yasmin was kind of boring and stupid, but like the one guy said she was a team player because she didn't like report her abuser, so she got hired. And the big guy liked Robert, even though he got a nosebleed from doing too much coke during his speech or whatever, because he seemed personable with clients. And then he also saved Harper because he wanted Eric back. So that's how they all got hired. It wasn't really because they did anything too special or whatever. Though they keep reiterating that Harper was doing special things or whatever. So I don't know if they all like just climb the ladder or what the fuck the direction is going to be. I wonder. It could be a funny Succession thing if like Harper and Yasmin are like friends one episode, hate each other next episode, friends one episode, and they keep making up and stuff like that. But I doubt that. But then we'll have to have other characters for them to interact with. Also, another thing is like, do we get a time skip? I really like that Succession like all takes place within like a year or something. And like I think season 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 are all like start basically immediately after each other. So I don't know. I guess in Flash one, I guess because I've been looking at like promotional stuff and I had to find an image to put in the background for this video. I'm gonna have to do it with the thumbnail. I did see like Harper seems to have a different haircut every season, which would indicate some sort of a time skip, I would presume. And same with what I saw of Gus, if that was him with a different haircut and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's kind of boring. I kind of hate time skips sometimes where it's like, oh, I want to see the exact fallout right now of how Harper and Yasmin's relationship is going to be. But maybe we skip forward 3 months or a year or something and they haven't been speaking and then whatever. And everything important we'll see. But I don't know, I like it when it's snappy. I don't know. I don't know anything else. I think I'm out of things to say. I guess I didn't note down specific scenes enough, so all that stuff would be interesting. Like when they all do cocaine together, even the cucker and the cucky and the cuctress and her best friend. Well, that stuff is interesting. Industry's very good. I'm having a great time. I want to go watch more. How many more episodes will I watch tonight? I look over at the clock. It's 11:51 p.m. I'm staying up to at least 4 a.m. these days, so that's 4 more episodes. Or should I make like a video or something that I actually need to do and would be productive? Who knows? You know, it's a struggle out here to be productive when nobody's keeping you accountable. But don't worry, I'll keep industry accountable. I'll see if it has the goods. I also don't know the reputation of the show at all. I don't know if it gets better, if season 2 is a big downgrade, but season 3 brought it back and season 4 has taken us to the moon, or if it just progressively gets better or whatever. I did check briefly on IMDb because that's where I go to look for images. Like every episode in this season had like a 7 point something, which was crazy to me. It's definitely a lot better than that. Though again, I can definitely see the show being written up as like, this is just young people sleeping with each other slop. You know, I'm a distinguished young man. I don't watch sex comedies, even though there's no comedy in this. There's some comedy sometimes. I don't watch sex dramas. I don't watch Sex in the City. I watch a real show like Succession. See Tom Wamsgans? He was a funny fella. He made a joke. Sporicus or something, he said. And he said he would castrate and marry Greg in a heartbeat. Wasn't that sweet? Oh my god, that almost rhymed. Anyway, I think we're wrapping this up. I'm antsy and eager to watch the next one. I can't wait to see if the show improves. Maybe everybody thinks it improves, but I think it's gonna nosedive or something crazy like that. We'll have to find out. I'll be back. Who knows? I might be back fucking tomorrow with this shit. I'd be watching shit fast. Probably not though. And even then, this video is like coming out like 2 days later or something. Though it did happen with Succession, which was funny, where I definitely didn't like. I was watching it at a similar pace, but I did get the season 2 and season 3 videos out on the same time because it was in the backlog of videos I had to upload. Anyway, that's a great behind the scenes tidbit. I'm gonna let everybody go now. Okay, everybody, get ready to go. Okay, support links in the description below. Thanks.